Godzilla vs. Kong revealed a ton of ancient lore, but many of our questions regarding the ancient war between Godzilla and Kong's kind have still been left unanswered. One of the more popular questions being, who or what was this monster before an ancient Kong jammed an axe into its brain? When I first watched the movie, I assumed this was just another Titan beast that somehow got caught up in the battle within the Kong temple. But upon reading the novelization for the movie, I came to realize that this strange looking skull didn't just come from any old Titan. The book gives us details gathered up by the human characters following Kong, in which describes this monster as very similar to Godzilla, and we're gonna get more in depth on that in this video. Thank you all for taking a step into Dangerville. Remember to follow us on Instagram if you haven't already, and let's get to it. Alright guys, so before we begin, I want to bring attention to this rumor going around saying that in the book for Godzilla vs. Kong that there wasn't an ancient war between the Godzilla and Kong species altogether, but that the one Godzilla, our big G-Man, was the only Godzilla to hunt down and eradicate the Kong species. Well, hate to break it to you guys, but there was never anything said in the book that says this, and if anything, the book hints at there being a vast variety of Gojira where not all of them looked identical. I think people are getting confused of when the book and graphic novel Dominion says that Godzilla had an ancient rival that he has been hunting, which hints at a potential nemesis Kong that Godzilla once battled. But no matter, I just wanted to bring that up because I've read all 300 plus pages of the book and there was nothing said about Godzilla battling the Kongs alone. Some of this evidence supporting that there was indeed an army of Gojira with different appearances, sizes, and characteristics comes from the mysterious skull. In this story, the character Eileen Andrews describes the bones as coming from something very similar to Godzilla, but with a few very noticeable differences. Most obvious being the large fangs and the sheer size of the skull, which when compared to Kong's hands and the size of Godzilla's own head seen later on in the movie, it's considerably larger. So I'm going to read this segment from the book now. Scatterings of huge bones were visible in that dim light. In the brighter heaved floodlights, they were recognizable as those of Titans. And one, still largely articulated, seemed especially familiar. She had seen pictures of such skeletons from the Philippines and elsewhere. She'd seen bones like this covered in muscle and scale. It was a species that resembled Godzilla. Now remember residents, this is coming from a Titan expert in the lore, so when she says that the remains appear to be from a species that was very close to Godzilla's, she's likely not making a foolish assumption there. Here, let's read another segment later on in the book that once again has Eileen saying the bones were similar to Godzilla's. Godzilla's energy beam made him almost invincible, unless you had something to counter it. Like one of the very fins that charged and channeled the energy. After all, Kong had found it stuck in the skeleton of something like Godzilla. So with both of those statements really solidifying the idea that this mysterious beast was once a mighty Titan, more large than Godzilla and likely just as deadly, it opens up so many possibilities when it comes to what really is a Gojira. Here are two examples of how Godzilla and this unknown Titan could very well come from the same family of sorts in the Titan world, but how they could also appear very much different. Let's go over to Godzilla's rival Kong, more specifically the great apes. Chimps, gorillas, orangutans, and even humans are all considered to be members of the great ape family, and well, outside of a similar general shape to our bodies, we all look quite drastically different, and what we are each capable of in our own right is vastly different from one another. Now to you fans who are less in touch with the real world and love fantasies, look at the trolls from Middle-earth and the Lord of the Rings movies. This cave troll and attack troll, hell even the bickering fools from The Hobbit are all considered trolls, even though they are all very much different. So hopefully those two comparisons kind of help put this all together for you. Now let's get back to the Monsterverse. The skeleton that I at first thought was some sort of goat or horse-like beast actually resembles a bit of art that comes from the series. Art that shows the skeleton of a Gojira, likely that of Dagon. While they aren't identical, you can see how they are alike. At least the parts we can see being the skull. So with the dialogue revealed from the book, on top of similar skeletal remains coming from Dagon, it's safe to assume that this was indeed Godzilla's larger cousin of sorts. Perhaps back in the ancient Hollow Earth, there were a variety of beasts that were all a part of the overall Gojira family. but each having their own distinct subspecies within that. Godzilla and Dagon came from the same subspecies, perhaps being siblings even. But then you have this larger beast, and even potentially this smaller and less evolved Hollow Earth lizard that I made a video on here. All may be a part of the mighty and diverse Gojira species. With that, I bet some of you have begun to think, well, if Kong can't kill Godzilla with the axe, how did this larger Godzilla-like creature succumb to an ancient Kong? Well, that Kong aimed for the head. Jokes aside, since this was in one of the temples of the Kongs, and with clear evidence that a massive battle once occurred here, this individual could have been swarmed from multiple Kongs, each coming at the beast from all sides, holding it in place just long enough for a well-aimed strike from the axe. After this fight, maybe the Kongs, likely decimated from the Gojira attack, would have slowly begun to retreat to the Skull Island entrance, and maybe the G-Man did hunt them, seeking vengeance for his lost comrade. Godzilla is no doubt the last of his kind, but his kind may just be a subspecies of a much larger and broad family of monsters, some of which may still have a part to play in the Monsterverse. Hashtag continue the Monsterverse, baby. So what do you think? Comment down below and share with your friends to see if they think this theory makes any sense. Stomp that subscribe button and do all that YouTube stuff to get the algorithm fired up and help this video reach more kaiju fans. Thank you all for your time today, and I hope to see you again here in Dangerville.